Hi, I'm Michael Chua, and you're watching the Chua channel. Tonight, we are checking out a spot at 3378 18th Street in the Mission District of San Francisco. This place is called Ramenwell. There are a few things I loved and a few I didn't. So I'll break it down for you over the rest of the video. So first, let's check out the dinner menu. Right off the bat, I'll let you know that the food was pretty phenomenal. We started off with their takoyaki appetizer, which are umami-rich fried octopus balls for the uninitiated. I've had them in a lot of places, and these were some of the best I've had since I visited the streets of Japan. Lauren told me that the takoyaki at Nara Sushi on Polk Street is also great, but I'll stick by these till I get a chance to retaste Nara's. I love how the bonito flakes sway in the heat. It makes the dish look alive. So next came the sake. We tried two types, a sparkling one named Mio, and another sporting a drunken whale on it called Suige Tokubetsu Junmai, said to have a strong finish of fennel, hops, and unripe strawberry. The Mio was the first time I've ever had a sparkling sake, and both of them were delicious. Then came our main course. I think it may have something to do with the way I grew up, but ramen was really one of the only staples that I could always count on being in the cupboards. So it found a way of worming its way into my heart from a young age. Needless to say, I've had countless bowls of ramen, both fancy and instant. So I've learned to be a little bit discerning. I got their signature pork ramen with its thick 20-hour tonkatsu broth, which was exquisitely flavorful and delectably rich, without being too oily or salty. The ramen egg noodles were cooked to perfection with just the right amount of chewiness to both soak up the broth and to create the structure that you want out of each bite. Speaking of structure, the bamboo shoots were fresh and expertly prepared. They added a bit of a bright crunch without detracting by being too fibrous. These notes on the dish are why you need to eat the dish in-house. It's really hard for the chef to cook something to perfection that's being delivered, so they usually will undercook the noodles and shoots to anticipate how the dish will finish when it reaches your house. Back to the meal. There were two types of pork in this dish, one that I believe was part of the broth. This was some of the most tender, amazing pork I've ever had. Mwah! I feel like Homer talking about a magical, tasty animal. It was that good.
Yeah, right, Ethan. A wonderful, magical animal.
The other type was the chashu. This was the only detractor from the dish, which was tasty, but my piece was overcooked. So this made the meat a little too hard compared to other ramens I've had. And really, I'm being very picky here because the dish was really, really good. There was a half marinated egg, and I added a soft boiled egg to the dish, which I highly suggest. The two types of eggs added a certain complexity to the dish that propelled it to a new height, in my opinion. The shallots and the nori were both fresh. Overall, I highly suggest this dish. Lauren had the mushroom lover ramen, which she said was similarly tasty. According to her, they managed to capture a rich and exuberant mushroom flavor rather than the thin, watery mushroom broths that you might find at many other places. We were too full to get dessert, but here is their dessert menu. The restaurant does have a mention by Michelin, but not a star. The decoration and ambiance were nice despite the unfortunate amount of graffiti on their parklet outside. The value is pretty spot on for similar restaurants in this category and in San Francisco, albeit on the higher end for the Mission District. So what did I not like? Really, it was the service. They didn't have a consistent server at our table, which didn't bother me too much, but then I tried to use the restroom and I found that they had no toilet paper. When I alerted two separate employees to this fact, they simply said, and rolled their eyes. And then they proceeded to go about on closing duties, never addressing the bathroom. We had to grab napkins from this napkin dispenser at the bar to use in the toilet. So I might have understood this if we were there far past closing and we were like the last table, but there were still 3 or 4 other tables in the restaurant when this happened. That said, the food is great. So maybe go to eat and bring your own teepee. Thanks so much for joining me. If you like what you saw and would like to join me on other adventures, please like and subscribe. And as always, keep on adventuring. Bye.